Landlords are cashing out. They're dumping their rental properties. We're seeing in the marketplace. We're going to talk about our three top tips for selling your asset. Stay tuned.
I'm the ringleader, so listen up.
All right, so we've brought on one of the best property managers in the world, Cleo Witte here, to talk with you this morning about landlords that are selling and what she's experiencing. So, Cleo, over to you. You're
Good
seeing
morning,
it? Is
everyone.
this a real thing?
It is. We're going to be doing this every Thursday. Woohoo!
There's not enough airtime for property managers in the cosmos. I
No,
don't know
this.
why a salesperson's happy to get on social, but a property manager's like, nah, yeah, I got work to do.
Yeah, there's so many topics though. There's the amount of content we could have is endless, and we'll get to share that now on Thursdays,
Yep.
which is good.
Yeah, yeah, and there's lots of tenants, there's lots of landlords, there's lots happening in the rental world. Now, you wanted to talk today about landlords selling their rental properties. What are you seeing out there?
I am seeing an increase in owners needing to putting their properties on the market for sale. I do often get the first question would be, can I get a rent increase? How much is the rent? And then they go away and they crunch their figures and then they come back and they say, actually, I want an appraisal now. I need an appraisal for sale. And I've done probably 4 in the last 3 days. So I thought that would be a reason enough to, run a topic on this at the moment.
And there's a level of difficulty out there for landlords at the moment. They got land taxes gone up a lot. Strata's gone up, council's gone up, interest rates have gone up. For a typical landlord, the amount of interest paid has doubled or tripled with their repayments. So it's a lot more than what tenants are actually paying out there in terms of how much their tenants' rent's going up. Um, so how does it then go, Cleo? So they'll go, you'll send off the appraisal and say, look, this is our sales team's reported this
Yeah.
this
We'll hand it
price.
over to the sales agent, because as a property manager, I'm not going to talk about, what the property's worth for sale. That's not my area. I can, talk about rentals all day long. But when it comes to the sales team, they're, more experienced in that field. So I will hand them to a salesperson, and then the salesperson will speak with our client and, give them those details.
And then is there any works that end up getting done? Do you suggest the works get done, or you actually, or does the salesperson sort of make those recommendations and you'll execute it?
Yeah, so that's probably what the number one tip. Having your property manager and tenant and selling agent all in the one banner is very, very beneficial, because we have that relationship with the tenant, and a lot of our owners want the tenant not to be disadvantaged in any way. Sometimes they also don't want to alert the tenant what they're doing because they haven't decided yet. So we can be delicate in that process.
Don't want to freak them out.
Yeah, and we also know the tenant. We've worked with them for some of them for 5 years, 2 years minimum, and yeah, and then it is hard. Like when a tenant hears that their landlord's thinking about selling, they immediately think that they're going to have to move straight away. So, our relationship and guiding them on what's real and what's not is really beneficial as well to the tenant.
And so your number one recommendation is sell that the trust is there, for accessing the property, for keeping the tenant, and also I guess you need to sometimes work with that tenant in week 1, 2, and 3. Having that relationship helps. My number two tip would be don't sell. Uh, and I started in the office starting to having a chat with you about equity access. And there's a thing out there now that I want our landlords to think about and to look at if they're running short of cash. Often it doesn't mean you should cut off the money tree, cut off a branch off the money tree. But what you can do is there's a government initiative for equity access now, and I'm fine. And I've spoken to a couple of landlords in the last couple of months about this, where they can actually just get their pensions topped up. So what the government does is values their existing home. The government will then add a fortnightly payment to their pension. And then when they leave this earth, the government will take that money back at an interest rate of 3.95%. So there's no repayments the whole way. So it allows the landlord to still, so say if a landlord's in a $2 million house and say they've got a $1 million unit, that's $3 million going up every 10 years. That doubles to, 3 goes to 6.
Yeah.
So the landlord may only need, just 30 grand a year, but they have to sell that whole $1 million asset to access that 30 grand. And it's like, what do you do with the other 570,000? What do you do with the other 970,000 once you've sold that asset? So equity access is a really good way for people that are getting rid of their assets in retirement to actually keep the assets in retirement and access the equity.
Yeah,
Boom.
that's so good. How does that work with reverse mortgages? Is that similar to that, or?
That's exactly what it is,
Okay, cool.
except it's not funded by a bank. It's funded by the Australian government, which I like, and it's
Very
it's a
good.
half or a third of the interest rates of what a reverse mortgage would be.
Yeah, wow. Nobody
Yes,
knows
and
about this.
I couldn't believe it. I had a landlord tell me, and I was like, "What? Huh?" And he's like, "Yeah, it could be." And I googled it, and it's like Equity Access New South Wales Government. Bang. So number 2 tip is if you are dumping, consider not dumping and getting equity access. What's your number 3?
Oh, now I'm on the spot. I've said keeping it with the agent. I guess we also, the property manager has access to all the strata, the water, the council. We know, all that information that is beneficial for the sale as well. If you are going to put it on the market. Number 3, well, I guess as well, we do all the routines and we look at the property and we are able to advise what's needing to be done to help with that process. I just had one that we've got on the market in Fisher Road, and we're doing a full kitchen reno, paint, carpet. Our trade's in there for only 2 weeks, and he's done everything. Chris from Came Carpentry, amazing. And yeah, the owner asked us, what should we do? We all went to the property together. We were able to handle the tenant to find another rental property with our office so we could do the work. And now the owner's been able to do this acquisition really quickly, which is what they needed. So I think knowing the property, knowing the building is also a benefit to, if you're going to sell with your current agent and rental property manager.
Yeah, sick. That's your number 3. Can I slip in a number 4?
Go for it.
I find that landlords are quite sad to sell their property, and it's like sometimes they feel like they've been beaten, and it's like, you
Yeah.
know what, it's just not necessary. I just don't want to do it, but just want to make things more comfortable. It's a really hard decision for them to make. And when I say this to them, it's often like a lifeline. It's like the penny drops and like, shit, you're right. So um, often these landlords are not in that retirement mode. But that was the reason they purchased that investment property, because it's like, when I retire, I'm going to sell this, and have a bit of cash, smash the cash. But they're selling their investment when they're 35, 45, 55. They're before retirement. I often find I say to them, swap the
House and unit.
asset with your superannuation. And they go, "What do you mean by that?" So I had a landlord. He had a lumpy house. And it was like over $2 million. I was like, I've got a small family. That's too much to have an investment that's that big. And I was like, that's cool. You got a hefty superannuation there. Self-manage your super and buy the equivalent amount in your superannuation. So you're simply just swapping the assets. So you've still got 2 million bucks in the market, not in your natural name, but you're going to have it in your, you and the wife's superannuation. So another way, like for instance, we've got these industrial units near Bunnings, Allambie, French's Forest, and they're not finished for 3 years. So I'm saying to guys, you've got no repayments for 3 years, buy something, can potentially talk to your accountant, buy something in your super. So if you are selling it or dumping your investment property, you may dump it and then buy something of equivalent value in your superannuation fund. So you still got that much in the market. Or you may even sell it. I don't know if you can sell it to your super. I know you can sell it to your super if it's commercial, but I'm not sure residential. But there's still a way.
That's really good advice. I'm still really loving number 2. That's my favorite, the equity access. I'm going to tell
Yeah,
my dad about it. That's great.
yeah. It's a corker, and there's no repayments.
Mm.
You basically just pay right at the end, and you don't get socked for a stupid interest rate and a creepy bank. Some of these banks that were doing reverse mortgages, you're not sure how that works. Was there something in the paperwork that was dodgy? When it's the Australian government, it's cool.
Yeah, so good. And the pension's not a lot. Like if you're a retiree and you've got, all this
Yeah.
property, but the pension's like it's not a lot of money to live off, that's for sure.
Well, neither is the rent. So
Yeah, that's a good point.
if you've got a pension and if you've got an investment property, after you pay your strata water council, I can understand why these landlords want to dispose of the property, but
Mm.
it's just such a lumpy unlock, So
Yeah,
it's like there's your 900 grand, boom, in your lap, and it's like, oh shit, that's a lot of money. What do I do with it now? You almost got to spend it.
yeah,
Whereas that reverse mortgage thing is pretty spunky because it drip feeds you, and that's all you need. You just need that little bit more per week per month.
so good. All
Great
right, that's
show.
a wrap.
Have a good one. Thanks, Claire. Thanks for coming on.
Thank you. We'll see you.
See you
Oh,
soon.
and happy
Take
birthday,
care.
Lisa, by the way.
Happy
Happy
birthday, Lisa
birthday.
Novak. Lisa's 32 today.
So
Yeah,
young.
she looks great for 32.
Amazing. Amazing.
Yeah. Happy
All right.
birthday, Lise.
Happy
All
birthday.
right. See
Bye.
ya. Bye bye bye.